Craig and Kirsty, a full-time travel couple sharing our adventures here on YouTube. We upload new travel content every week from different parts of the world. Right now we're making our way through the entire country of Argentina and exploring everything it has to offer. If you enjoy seeing new places and real experiences, please subscribe and welcome to the adventures of Tied Knot Travellers.
Hi everyone, and thanks for tuning in for today's video where we're going to talk to you about driving in Argentina.
Yeah, and hiring a car, which we've done quite a lot of over the last few months, driving around the country. If you're new to the channel, we've got a ton of videos where we've just travelled the whole of Argentina with and without hire cars. We've had loads of questions about what it's like basically, so this is what this video is all about. Although hiring a car in Argentina is really expensive, for us as a couple to do a tour and pay for 2 seats on a bus ticket and everything, it kind of works out quite a good price to hire a car. But we're in a lot of WhatsApp groups and Facebook groups where there are constantly solo travellers trying to share hire cars just because the cost is pretty high.
Buddy together. There's
no getting away from it. Car hire in this part of the world is expensive, and we've been paying on average about £40 for a car hire, and that's using the unofficial rate, so that's us paying in cash with our money that we have gone and got out of Western Union to pay for it. If we were to use our credit card or debit card to pay, we'd be paying like £90 roughly, so yeah, just for one day.
Usually we'd be paying half of that for the same standard of car, for example in Europe. And the other thing is usually you would just rent a car online, but obviously if you do that you're paying for it with card, so you're not getting the unofficial rate.
Yeah, so we've been giving ourselves an extra day when we get to each new city or each new region that we know we want to hire a car. And we get there, and on the first day we just go and get ourselves some cash from Western Union and then just walk around a load of different rental places and get the best price we can and the best car that we can, because yeah, it's kind of the way to do it. We have a little scan online to get a feel, but in this part of the world we're just finding having your feet on the ground and going and getting the car hire seems to be the way.
But the good news is that we have found that every time you get to a car rental place, they're actually really chilled and really helpful. Through experience, whenever we've got a car, I always go round it and film the whole car. In the past, we've had situations where we've come back and then they've pointed out some tiny little chink and then tried to charge you for it, and I've shown them the video. But to be fair, no one did that in Argentina. They were all really chilled and really friendly car rental people. Yeah,
in fact they kind of looked at Craig like, why is he filming? And I was like, he does this, we've had attempts that have been screwed over before, so just
just let him
helps
do it.
Him relax, so we'll enjoy our few days with the car knowing we've got the videos. It's fine.
And the other thing is that we've been so used to having to pay a charge to get a second person insured on the car, and in Argentina you don't have to do that. They just add you on at no extra cost, so it's been great knowing that Kirsty can be added on as well.
Yeah, it's I guess because the distances that you're driving are so vast, so it's really nice that you have that second person insured as standard without paying anything extra. The first time we hired a car and they asked for my license as well, I was like, oh, how much is it going to cost to add me on as well? And they were like, no, it's fine, you get 2 as standard. And we're like, oh, okay. And then we realised that seems to be the norm. It might not always be the case, but for us it was, which was great, even though Craig does like 99% of the driving because he loves driving.
So just to cover some of the basics, and I know these things might seem obvious, but in Argentina they drive on the right hand side of the road. So the driving position in the car, you're on the left hand side of the car, changing gear with your right hand. And something that we were quite surprised about, we weren't expecting at all, was that the cars in Argentina are actually primarily like European cars. Yeah. Because I was really expecting to see loads of American style big cars.
Old cool ones.
Yeah, which we did see some of those as well, but there were barely any. It was mainly kind of European sized cars on the roads out there.
And one thing to also know is that whenever you pick up a car, bring your passport with you. They ask you your passport and driving licence. To be fair, pretty much everything we've done in Argentina, as soon as you book or go to do anything, they want your passport details. It's just like a check that they do. We're used to coming from some places where they never ask for that.
No. So once you've got your car and you're finally setting off, obviously driving in the cities can be hectic. I mean, BA is huge, for example. I drove in Bariloche and it's really not too bad. That's much more of a smaller city. And something else to note is that on the edge of the cities, when you're going on the highways sort of outside of the cities, there are checkpoints. So don't be worried about that. It's a normal thing in Argentina, and we've seen that a lot on our bus journeys. As soon as you leave the city limits,
Yeah.
there is a checkpoint. And you just kind of have to slow down at those checkpoints. They tend to have cones in the middle of the road. There will be a security guy stood in the middle, and you might see a hut with a blue flashing light.
Yeah.
What's really confusing is that on the way back, we've sometimes come back late at night, and there'll be a light flashing, and you'll think there's some kind of emergency vehicle, but actually it's just the flashing light on the hut, and there's no one manning the checkpoint anymore, so you just drive straight through. So
you're like, what's happening? Oh, absolutely nothing, just drive.
it's like they only care about checking and catching people at the start of the day, and then at night they don't seem to bother. But
yeah, in terms of actually driving, I mean, we drove on a few different types of road surfaces, and Craig was just saying earlier that he thinks, oh, it's really, really nice and the roads are really good. And I was like, they are, but again, Craig's a really confident driver. The roads are in really good shape. Like, for example, in Bariloche, when we drove on Saquito Chico, beautiful roads, flat, lovely, calm, and just scenic. That's just like a dream.
And
so
the
if you're
Seven Lakes route as well.
The Seven Lakes route, oh, it's just
Beautiful.
lovely.
Not too much traffic, it's delightful.
So if you're there and you're going to hire a car, that is lovely. However, in Mendoza, or the surrounding areas of Mendoza, when we went out to Aconcagua and to the Inca Bridge.
When we did the Trans-Andean Highway.
Yeah, like that road, again, it is well paved and everything. But if you're a nervous driver, wow, there are some big, heavy vehicles that will fly at you in small tunnels on little roads and things, and you're going like around really bendy, windy roads, and yeah, the road surface is good, but it's still narrow, and these vehicles just come out of nowhere, and the whole car will shake. And yeah, like I say, Craig's under control, and he's really calm about these things. It happens, and he's just like cool as a cucumber, and I'm sat there as a passenger like, whew.
Yeah.
So if you're a nervous driver, that kind of thing probably isn't so great.
Totally, what Kirsty was saying, I agree, because that Trans-Andean Highway, it's a big trade route between Argentina and Chile, so it's mainly HGVs on the road going through there.
Yeah.
But the closer you get to the Chilean border, actually the road surface gets worse. But that main part going out to see most of the tourist sites, kind of out as far as Aconcagua, the road surface was good, and it is stunning.
Yeah.
But watch out for those HGVs.
Yeah, and certainly for us when we hired a car in Salta and the sort of Jujuy region, like, I mean, they do warn you when you hire cars there, and they tell you need a 4x4 and things like that. You don't need a 4x4, you need a decent car, and you also need a decent driver, is what I'd say, and you need a patient driver, because you are going to be driving on really loose, rubbly roads, and you're going to get stones flicking up, so you've got to drive really, really slow for hours. It is bumpy and crazy, but also beautiful. How's your bum doing?
It's a wobbly one, although it might not be wobbly so much after this journey.
It's alright, only another 3 hours and 20 minutes to go. Like 4 hours. But, you know, the nature is stunning, and we were just stopping in the middle of nowhere on these dusty roads. It was a white car, and it was just like a creamy coloured by the end. It was a duster. I remember making a joke about the duster is now dusty or something like that, because it was inevitable. But as long as you don't go getting impatient and flying along there, you're not going to damage your car.
But another thing to factor in is the altitude. So when we did that first loop to the southwest of Salta, Route 40 and Route 68 back, a good almost half of that was actually off-road on gravel. You kind of go up to high altitude. It goes from tarmac to a wiggly, gravelly road up to Los Cordones National Park, and then it goes paved again. So
yeah,
you need to kind of have the rally driver mentality about you to be able to deal with different surfaces, but the altitude as well. That road going from Humahuaca up to the 14 Colour Mountain was just insane. I wasn't expecting that road to go on for so long. Once we reached Humahuaca, I kind of thought, oh, we're not that far away, maybe sort of 15-20 minutes, but no, it was a good hour plus.
Yeah.
And you start going up this mountain up to high altitude, and there were other huge vehicles. There was this HGV with a trailer that we kind of had to get past, and I was trying to make sure the car came through unscathed as well. I didn't want any chips or dents, and fortunately we got away with that.
So yeah, I think we've driven in quite a few places, and by we I mean Craig has driven in quite a few places around Argentina. And I would say on the whole, we did see a few accidents that had happened, not us actually seeing the accidents, so it does happen. But yeah, I just think basically everyone's asking us what it's like to drive in Argentina, and obviously we can only talk about what it's like for us to drive in Argentina. We're really calm people when we're in a car. I know that some people, when they talk about even driving to places in their own country, they have huge arguments and fall out and things, and don't do so well and get very stressed. We're pretty chilled when we're travelling. I mean, we love travelling, so we're at our happiest when we're sat there with a car about to go off on an adventure. So that's us in our relaxed state. So of course we're going to say, yeah, hire a car, it's the best way to see it. It's the best way to see everything. We love the freedom and the flexibility of it, but we also both enjoy driving a lot. So if something happens to one of us and one of us has a headache or something and can't drive, we know the other one is happy to do it. So it's okay for us. I would say hire a car in Argentina, just have your wits about you. Just be prepared that you will have to put up with some long drives and some different terrain, especially if you're going up to altitude. Driving up at altitude is a little bit scary, I think.
Yeah. I would say that 95% of the driving that we did was absolutely fine and just relaxed. And hiring your own car allows you to stop off where you want, to go and see what you want, plan your own itinerary and own day. I know that sounds really obvious, but the alternative to that is going on a tour or getting public transport. And we had days where we had already had a hire car and couldn't justify getting the car for another day and got public transport. And it was really difficult because we got to where we thought the bus stop was and the bus didn't show. And then we had to get a taxi, we got it to the wrong place, and then had to walk ages and flag down someone to hitchhike with. So hiring a car really works for us. Yeah.
If I had to give like a top tip for you if you're going to hire a car in Argentina, I would say give yourself a day to go and get your hire car when you first arrive in a place, if you can. If you can't do that, then you're going to have to book online and take the hit. Get there as early as you can in the morning, and if you're going to hire a car and you want to see quite a few things, give yourself multiple days, because you lose an hour or a chunk of the start of your day because you're going to go pick your car up around 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, and by the time you do the paperwork and stuff, you've lost like an hour, so it kind of eats into your day. So then at least then you've got the second day where you can get up at the crack of dawn and go off and enjoy, because these roads are long. It takes time, especially for us, we're trying to film things and see things. It's hard to get everything into one day. Next top tip would be download offline maps. I
was just going to say about maps, so also get a physical map and go through it with the car hire people. Just ask them what terrains are where, and also where there's high altitude, because they're the bits that are tricky. And we were driving up to Salinas Grandes and it felt weird because a lot of cars had turned off at the bottom of where you start the ascent, and after that we didn't see any cars, and then we started to feel the altitude and it all felt really weird. We spoke to the car hire people and told them where we were going. They hadn't said not to do it, but it just felt a bit weird.
It'd be nice to be mentally prepared for what's going to happen. So knowing like, okay, I'm expecting for this to feel like this, or I'm expecting for the road to turn like this for a few hours now. It's going to be okay. That's normal. It's fine. You might not see another car for a long time, and it does make you start to think, what are we doing right in the middle of nowhere? Which is another reason why having offline maps is good. So we use Google Maps or Maps.me, and we download the map of the area before we go, because you're out in the middle of nowhere for hours. You're not going to get any signal or see anyone for a while, potentially. Oh, and fuel costs, by the way, I would say in Argentina, it's not inexpensive and it's not really expensive. I know that's a bit of a wishy-washy answer, but it is literally somewhere in the middle. I wouldn't say it's super cheap for fuel, but it's also not like crazy expensive.
And something else that we loved about the fuel stations actually was that the men actually fill up the car for you.
That's a luxury to us.
I don't actually mind getting out and filling up the car, but Kirsty hates getting out of the fuel pump. But yeah, they do it there for you. So you just stay in the car unless you want to go and buy something in the shop. As you just sit there and then pay through the window.
But yeah, so I would say on the whole, go for it. Hire a car. Just certainly if you're in places like Bariloche and stuff, that's easy to hire a car. And driving out of the city of Bariloche is really easy. It's not too hectic. It's a small little place. And then you're straight out on Saquita Chico within minutes, and it's just beautiful. So that one's probably the easiest area, I would say, of everything we've done.
And Ushuaia, because it's so at the end of the world.
Yeah, lovely down there. Hopefully that's helped and answered your questions. Hopefully we haven't missed anything. We did have a list of things from what you'd all asked us.
But if you do have any more questions, feel free to ask us in the comment section below.
And yeah, as ever, thanks for watching, and we will see you soon for another adventure here in Argentina or somewhere in South America.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Adios. Bye.
Join us next time as we leave Argentina and arrive in our second country of our South American tour. We start by exploring the capital city, Santiago in Chile.